I like,
Wow.
first of all, they beat up cops. How are you out of jail in 24 hours? And then clearly, 2 days later, they're robbing Macy's. Anybody, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, a dog, a cat, or a puppy, you know that's wrong.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about former NBA basketball player and color commentator and current CNN talk show host Charles Barkley and Stephen A. Smith talking about some very conservative things on Stephen A. Smith's podcast. Now, if you didn't know who these guys were before you watched the podcast, you would think they were two gun-toting MAGA Republicans going out there and voting for President Donald J. Trump. The reality is much different. And this right here is part of the parliamentary community. We'll talk one way, we'll say certain things, but when it comes down to it, when it comes time to vote, we're not doing what we should do. We find reasons to not vote with what we believe. It's really crazy. Now, a little bit of context if you don't know about Charles Barkley. This is the same guy who just 1 month ago threatened to punch black Trump supporters in the face if we have on a Donald Trump mugshot t-shirt. We're going to watch that clip right quick. Then we're going to get into what they said on Stephen A. Smith's show. What they said on the show is right on point. I agree with it, but we got to be able to fix that problem, that disconnect between thinking that the right are racist and hate black people and the left just being all for black people, while at the same time always complaining about what the left does. We got to fix that disconnect. And if we don't, then it's going to be a problem. So let's watch the first things first. Then we're going to get to the actual clip with Stephen A. and Chuck. Check it out.
Big sigh.
First of all, I'm just going to say this. If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm going to punch him in the face.
Charles.
No, Gail.
Charles.
Gail.
You really can't say that because, A, you don't mean that.
Oh, I mean that sincerely.
Now, there's more to it, but you get the general idea. I'm going to punch black Trump supporters in the face for wearing a Donald Trump mugshot t-shirt. Really? Is that what you're going to do? You're threatening us with violence? But at the same time, everything you said in this clip makes you one of us. So you got to just figure out where you want to be, Charles. Now, let's go ahead and just check into the actual clip here. And of course, I will link to everything that I'm speaking about right now in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
And you see the streets. You see the streets in New York.
3 weeks ago on TV, they had these migrants. First of all, the border is a joke. The border is a joke.
Yeah.
But they had these migrants, they call them, had just bust up in New York. They got them on camera kicking and beating like cops. They beat up these
two cops, beating up two cops.
Now let's pause right here. Stephen A., fair use. Don't give me a copyright on this. Stephen A., fair use. But what they're saying so far, I have no disagreements. None whatsoever.
Up two police officers
but they were,
in the subway station.
They were out of jail in 24 hours. And the next day,
actually, it was the same day, Charles.
But 2 days later, they called him robbing Macy's.
Wow.
First of all, they beat up cops. How are you out of jail in 24 hours? And then clearly, 2 days later, they're robbing Macy's.
You know what? If you're living in New York, I'm not sure if you do or not, Chuck. I know Stephen A. might live in New York. But if you're out there and you're voting for Eric Adams and you're voting for Kathy Hochul and you voted for Joe Biden, you can do things to change what you see. You don't like what you see? You don't like migrants beating up cops? Well, who did you vote for? How did you vote? How did you contribute to what's happening?
Anybody, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, a dog, a cat, or a puppy, you know that's wrong, period.
But it's woke culture. But with woke culture and everything else that's been going on, you've got folks on the left that have endorsed a more lenient legal system, and obviously folks on the right going crazy about it and calling for law and order. Who do you side with, considering our iniquitous history, what's going on today, and who the candidates are in terms of Biden and Trump in all likelihood running for office? What do you do, Charles? Who do you vote for?
Now, that was a pretty clear question, in my humble opinion. It was a pretty clear question. We're at the 1 minute and 15 second mark, and a total video is just shy of 3 minutes. 2:58. Now let's see if in the remaining time Charles answers the question. Who are you going to vote for, Trump or Biden? That's going to be the presumptive picks. And I don't want to hear two wings of the same bird. I don't want to hear third party. That's a cop-out. And we all know that it is, because in reality, you have two candidates that are going to, either one could win. Nobody else is going to win. It's either Trump or Biden. Unless Biden cannot go, unless Trump cannot go for whatever the reason may be, it's either one or the other. Who are you going to vote for? And I want to hear Stephen A. also answer the question. But let's see.
First of all, we need law and order, Stephen A. If we're gonna,
I agree.
if we're gonna,
I'm with you.
dude, we need law and order. Hey, trying to fix inequalities has nothing to do with letting people go in stores and rob people. That has nothing to do.
Sure it does, because the left says it does. If you vote for people who say, you know what, we got to fix inequality, we got to fix inequity, we have to increase inclusion by allowing people to steal $1,000 or less and not prosecute them in California, if that's what they say, then that's what it is. And if you vote for them, then you vote for that policy. So if you're living in New York City and they say, hey, we are a sanctuary city and a sanctuary state in New York State, let all the migrants come in, we're not going to deport them, we're not going to talk to ICE. Okay, if that's what you want to have as a policy that you run on, like Eric Adams did, and you vote for that guy, you voted for that. You could say you don't like it, but you voted for it. So if you didn't like it, if you don't like it, then why'd you vote for it?
That has nothing to do with diversity or handling inequalities. Letting random people just run in all these stores stealing stuff. And, because innocent people, they should always be protected. But we need law and order. Yeah, do we need to address diversity and inequalities? 100%. But to go out here and says, oh, like this, that's my personal favorite. Unless you steal $1,000, we're not going to press charges.
I just mentioned that. So what is your take on that? Now, careful, Chuck. Do you live in California? I'm not sure. I think he lives in Arizona because he played for the Suns for a long time. I'm not sure where his residence is. I think he works for TNT and also CNN. He might be living in Atlanta. I don't know where he lives. But who'd you vote for? How'd you vote for? How'd you vote? Like, let me tell me that, and that'll tell me everything. And if you voted a certain way, like you voted for, let's say, the left in California, and they had a policy on the books, and you voted for them again after you saw that policy, you recognize it and you don't like it, it's your fault that the policy exists and that it keeps on happening the way it's happening.
Well, Stephen A., I want that same damn deal. I want to be able.
How about the 53 million in prepaid credit cards for migrants?
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I mean, come on, man. And
Black folks been in the streets, Latinos been in the streets, homeless, minorities have been in the streets, homeless, starving for years. We ain't never got
No, you're not getting it. Reparations, all kind of stuff like that. That's not happening. Forget about it. Throw it out the window, toss it away. The migrants are getting it. As I've said before, there was a study that was conducted by House GOP committee from summertime 2022. We have spent $450 billion with a B, $450 billion on migrants. Now, Trump was offering the black community $500 billion from the Platinum Plan, and we rejected it. So rather than the black community getting the $500 billion, the migrants got it. So what's up?
Anything like that? I grew up on welfare. What they talking about? I'm like, we ain't never had nothing like that.
So if you want that deal, Stephen A., and you want that deal, Charles Barkley, then why do both of you guys have the issue with Trump, who was offering you that deal? So you said, nope, we don't want that from Trump. You're racist, orange man bad. Let's vote for Biden. And Biden gave that same money that Trump was offering to the migrants instead. Congratulations. You played yourself.
Like that?
They think, they just, we're going to find $53 million. I'm like, damn, we can do a lot with $53 million. I mean, but, man, that's why I say this whole thing is broken. And we need some adults to come and say, hey, listen, I understand some things, but yeah, we're not going to not going to let everybody run wild and do what the hell they want to do. I mean, because that's just not right. I mean, it's just not right and it's just not fair.
So at the 258 mark from the 115 mark, when the question was asked, who are you going to vote for, Trump or Biden? The question didn't get answered. They didn't reveal who they're going to vote for. Okay. And they have both said that they are not Trump supporters. They don't like Trump. He's racist, orange man bad. And you just saw Charles Barkley 1 month ago said that he wants to punch black Trump supporters in the face. So you pretty much know where they line up. Now, as I close, I want to say this. I have nothing against what they were talking about in the clip. The concerns they brought up were valid concerns. The problem is you can do something about it and you're refusing to do what needs to be done. So quite frankly, I don't want to hear your complaints. You're mad about things. You're pointing out obvious things that are the problem, but you keep voting for the problem. So at a certain point, you're the problem. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what Charles Barkley and Stephen A. Smith are talking about as far as the issues that this nation faces with the left and the policies, the migrants and the crime and the violence and all this and that? Like a prosecution, you can sell it to $1,000 in California of merchandise from the store and nothing happens. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. They raise valid concerns, but as long as they keep voting for the other side, the same side that's doing that, well, I mean, what are you going to do? It makes no sense. It's like, okay, if there's a flood in your house, right? And the flood is coming from a faucet in the center of the house, and you keep turning the faucet on. I say, hey, turn the faucet off. You say that's racist. Keep the faucet on. Well, why are you complaining about the house flooding when you're keeping the water on? Turn the water off. Basic common sense things are not so basic and common sense when you are clouded with this negative energy, this fog. You can't get beyond that. Got to get beyond that fog. And if you can't, you're always going to be stuck in the same predicament, complaining and crying and carrying on with no resolution anywhere in sight. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.